Alright, we're going. Today's Friday, and this is NET-200. Believe it or not, this is only day 3 that we met, but things are going well. We finished up chapter 1, should be pretty much completed. There's a few things the students need to turn in yet today, but I think we're set and we're moving on into chapter 2. We covered some technical things in class. So we talked about accessing networking equipment, and the first way we did it was through Work Server 2, and then once we got logged in, we telnetted to this, use this password, and the students were able to get into one device. To draw a picture, there's a router there, and that router has the option of connecting to 32 devices. Okay, so some of them are ones we use on a regular basis and some are not. So the students got logged into a router, and then we talked a little bit about router. We talked about the iOS. Now that's not little iOS that Apple uses, it's a capital I. So that's Internetworking Operating System. And we talked about that, stored in Flash, and when we boot, it does a post, or does the things and checks memory and all that. Then it loads from Flash, it loads the iOS. Then it loads the startup config from NVRAM. Okay, so in RAM then we have the running config, startup config. Now the routers we went into, I believe all of them, had no startup in NVRAM, so we created a small running config, and then we did this. We copied that running config to NVRAM. And then we practiced also switching from one device to another, so you can be actually communicating to multiple devices in the network. Alright, and the students can try that from home. Okay, they can log into the work server via the internet, and then from there, based on those other instructions, can log into devices. And so they should try that before Monday. Okay, we reviewed client server, we reviewed peer-to-peer. I'm not going to go through that. You can go into the curriculum and find that. Which it is important though, I want to make sure you understand this idea of end devices. We have all these devices that want access to networks, and then we have intermediate devices in the network that move this traffic to other end devices. So for example, let's say this cloud here has I don't know, Facebook. Okay, so there is some server there that we need to access. Facebook has a huge presence down by Des Moines, Altoona, just north of the interstate. Sometime when you're driving by, just glance to your left, right about when you're going by the casino and all that stuff down there, and the amusement park, Ventureland. They're on the left there. There's like 3 or 4 buildings. I don't even know what it is anymore. Okay, so we want to access that. So we have an end device. In our case, they were PCs, but it could have been, somebody's phone. Okay, and so we want to connect to that. So our end device goes through intermediate devices, goes through a switch, and then a multi-layered switch goes through this router, and goes into the internet, and eventually goes here to some, I don't know, storage, gets the information we want, and then sends it back. Now, if you were on your phone, okay, and you were connected to the Wi-Fi, it actually would do this. It goes to an access point, the one in the room, but that's connected to the main campus network. It's not connected to the one we work in. There are access points, but they're not accessible to students. Okay? So then you go through this whole network, and through here, through their firewall, and believe it or not, you use that other connection. They send the wireless on this one. They keep the wired on this one. It's because wireless, with all the people connecting in, they don't have any control over them here at the college. So they run them out a different place than the wired network. So if you were in a lab, let's just use another color. If you were in a lab here somewhere on campus, not in the IT area, and then you would go through some device in here, but then you'd go out that connection, if you can follow that. We also talked about a couple of other things here. I want to mention this phone. Yeah, this phone. You can go through the Wi-Fi at the college, but then you're using those services, or you can use your LTE. You know, you can. Let's use a different color here. So you can take your phone, connect through a tower, and then later on I'll show you here, and then be using your data plan, so many gigs or whatever that might be. Okay? Yeah, we'll see that better in the next picture. Oh man, I'll keep moving here. So if you're going out through your data plan, you're from your phone, go to the tower wirelessly, right? And then the tower is connected in to whoever your service is, like us. We are U.S. Cellular. And then they will send you in the internet. Does that make sense? All right. A couple items we didn't cover over there. I'm not going to go back, but we had LAN and WAN. And in those, we talked about providers, ownership, and you can't hardly see it there, but location. So here at the college, if we were to, let's take a look at this. We have the IT area, which is a LAN in a LAN, so to speak. And then we have the whole campus, the cloud there, which is a LAN. It's all managed by NIACC, all of this. We have our own little ownership for the IT area. We manage that. The rest of the campus doesn't worry about it. Connect through them, get to the internet. And the campus also has a place in Charles City. And they use the internet to connect there with a VPN. That would be a WAN because it's covering a longer distance, you know, from the location. We're in two different locations. Plus, we're paying a provider, right? We're paying access to the internet. And somewhere we have a provider between us and the other location. That would make that a WAN. Okay. You also need to be careful. You know, big organizations like Walmart. You know, they'll pay a service provider to connect their stores. They don't necessarily connect them through the internet. All right. A couple more things on this slide. We talked about the internet, routers in the internet, routing information. We talked a little bit about switches. We have a switch, uses a MAC address to identify a PC connected. Here, this router then routes the traffic based on network. Does it reroute it internally or does it send it out? We're going to learn all about that stuff. Okay. And we talked about accessing the equipment from home. The concept of being able to go here to the work server, and then from the work server you can access the networking equipment. Almost Fridays we cover a lot of stuff in the 2 hours. Alright, just covered the term converged networks. We have nowadays this whole idea of a converged network in which we have our phone service, our internet service, or maybe our TV service, all those things on a converged network. This will be a big deal in the future. Okay, people are getting rid of their landlines and so forth. Let's finish up the day. Integrity, we're talking about security here as a whole. And we start off with 3 ideas. Integrity is the data accurate? Confidentiality, who can see the data? who has access to it, and that's all that control of access, who's in, who has authorization to see what. So this guarantees that only the people who are supposed to see the data see it. This guarantees that the data is accurate, somebody hasn't changed it, and availability, if we didn't have to make the data available, well, these wouldn't be a problem. But you have to make the data available. You know, people have to be able to look at their bank accounts. People have to be able to log in to do work on Canvas. People have to be able to blah, blah, blah. So we have all these things about availability. So we need to give the right availability to the right people, and we have to make sure they only change what they have rights to change. 2 weeks under our belt. It's a good start. Let me know if you have any questions.